Here are 5 things we want in a Mortal Kombat sequel. This is Nerdist Now. Folks, the long-awaited Mortal Kombat reboot finally uppercut its way into movie theaters, HBO Max, and our hearts. And after performing a fatality on Demon Slayer at the box office, the movie also dropped enough sequel bait into the mix to make our brains spin faster than Kung Lao's murder hat. And based on the film's positive response and box office performance, it feels more than likely we'll get a follow-up to the adventures of Cole Young and his super violent friends. With that possibility on the horizon, we created our own Sonya Blade-style conspiracy board to talk about what exactly we'd want to see in a Mortal Kombat sequel. Now, in order to discuss this, we have to talk about the movie in detail, so if you haven't seen it yet, this is your spoiler warning. Make like Jack Spriggs and drive far, far away, lest you ruin the movie for yourself. Alright, let's get into it, shall we? At the very top, we gotta talk about my boy Johnny Cage. Eagle-eyed fans glimpsed his movie poster hanging in Cole's MMA gym at the film's outset, but Chekhov's Easter egg is finally paid off during the final scene of the film. During the finale, we see Cole talking about making his way to Hollywood to find other chosen fighters, which ends with a long hold on a movie poster for Citizen Cage starring the one and only Johnny Cage. Now, Cage's face is conveniently not included in the final shot, so that opens a fan-casting floodgate as to who will play the himbo King of Hollywood. Now, so far, Ryan Reynolds has tossed himself into the mix in a cheeky Mint Mobile ad, but one fan casting that's really vibed with people online and gained a lot of traction, and that is WWE star Michael "The Miz" Mizanin, so much so that his fellow WWE superstar Xavier Woods is actively pleading for it on Twitter. Now, The Miz has made a career for himself in wrestling by embracing his persona as a Hollywood A-lister complete with $500 sunglasses, so it kind of feels like a no-brainer to cast him as the hero of Earthrealm. However, Sub-Zero actor Joe Taslim has a different idea about who should play Johnny Cage. Back in January, Taslim appeared on the Art of Action podcast hosted by martial arts master Scott Adkins, and during the podcast, Taslim voiced his hope that the studio would cast Adkins himself as Johnny Cage if a sequel were indeed to happen. And given the news that Taslim signed on for up to 4 more Mortal Kombat movies, and the fact that a lot of the cast have strong martial arts backgrounds, Taslim's wish might just come true, especially considering Adkins can do stuff like this. Now, another thing we'd love to see is Cole Young having something to do. Granted, he was used as the fish out of water to introduce us to the Mortal Kombat universe via that conspiracy corkboard in Sonya's trailer, but now that he's the last living member of the Shirai Ryu, that opens him up to have way more of a storyline for himself, which also weaves its way into the larger Mortal Kombat lore, or Lordal Kombat if you nasty. And as Mortal Kombat fans know, despite the numerous fatalities, brutalities, and animalities, nobody ever really dies. Like we said, Taslim signed on for 4 more movies. That means there's a very strong chance that Sub-Zero could return as the ghostly goo boy Noob Saibot to try and finish what he failed at in the previous movie. And with the possibility of Noob Saibot joining the party, that brings the Netherrealm into the mix, which is conveniently the next item on our list. We got a small glimpse of Outworld during Mortal Kombat, but there's so much more than just the desert wastelands of Kuber Pedy to explore. We see Easter eggs like a bust of Kotal Khan, Kitana's bladed fan, and an illustration of Nightwolf all during the movie, all of which hint at possibly expanding the scope of these massive worlds. The Netherrealm itself gets a direct reference as well. Scorpion's soul is sent there when he dies, and Kano tries to swipe the amulet of Shinnok in Raiden's temple. That could set up characters like Quan Chi or the fallen Elder God Shinnok himself as the big bads in the sequel, which Sub-Zero could work for as they plot to conquer both Earthrealm and Outworld. You know, just like in everyone's favorite game, Mortal Kombat Mythologies, which it's legally a game.
I heard things.
Now, if our sequel dreams come true, there's going to be an awful lot more characters entering the fray, which means more fights. And that brings us to the elephant in the room from this movie that we need to address, which is the lack of an actual tournament. If you take a drink every time they say tournament or Mortal Kombat during this movie, you'll be dead long before the credits ever roll. Now, we did get plenty of brutal fight sequences and fatalities in the most recent outing, but the tournament of Mortal Kombat itself is conspicuously missing. And with a cast of such talented martial artists like this, having a tournament would give them all more of a chance to really shine, while staying true to the core of Mortal Kombat itself. And by shine, yes, I do mean seeing them all covered in blood and gore. I would throw so much money at just the idea of a brutal 10-minute fight scene between Liu Kang and Shang Tsung. And I know that sounds like we're explaining the 1995 Mortal Kombat movie, and you'd be right, because that movie rules. And that brings us to our final item on our list, which I think we can all agree on. There's one character who desperately needs to be in the sequel: Stryker. I'm sorry, I'm kidding. Can you imagine? That would be awful. Anyway, in all seriousness, bring back Kano. Josh Lawson's portrayal of the mouthy mercenary Kano is the perfect blend of humor mixed with the crassness of an edgy 13-year-old. Cage would undoubtedly be the comic relief of the next film, but Kano stood out as the fan favorite in this movie. And let's be honest, Kano getting a lawn gnome jammed through his face is the perfect excuse to set him up to return with his trademark metal faceplate and his glowing red eye.
Hello, baby. Did you miss me?
Anyway, folks, those are 5 things we want to see in a Mortal Kombat sequel. But tell us, what do you think of the Mortal Kombat movie? What characters do you want to see come back for a sequel or appear in another film? And is Raiden from Mortal Kombat Mythologies your sleep paralysis demon too, or is that just me? Anyway, let us know in the comments below, and for all your Netherrealm news, stay tuned to Nerdist.com.